For upcoming meetings, getting MC input on agenda items is definitely something we can do. And I think that's a good idea. So we can think of ways to implement that. And agenda development will continue to involve the community advisory group. And as you just stated, we can also involve the NCs in that as well.
So I think in terms of usually with groups, I mean, we have some things that we want to talk about, but we should also check with the group that we're going to go meet with or talk to and see if there are things that they want to know about as well. So that should be the way that we move forward.
And if I could just add for agenda development, one of the benefits of meeting a little less frequently is that we have a little more time to get materials out and to prepare for a more robust meeting as well. Brian, Alan?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I hope I am not going to be too aggressive. I've been asked not to be, but I can tell you when I hear things as, well, let me back up just 1 second. Dr. Davis, I gave him all the credit in the world in the very beginning. He speaks very well, and I appreciate him as a person. I believe that his heart is in this study. However, what he just repeated today in the beginning is very disingenuous. It is not consistent with what actually happened. And I wish I had the time to go over all the issues that there are. But time after time after time after time, we have asked questions and gotten the exact same answers that we got from Dr. Davis today. We have never been invited to an agenda-setting environment. Never. We always get the agendas late. And I'm just going to stick with just some very simple things, not the really important stuff. The fact is, we didn't even get information on this meeting. We tried to give input, and we were completely ignored. The agenda was set by DPH. We also noticed that there is a representative from Southern California Gas on this call today. And that has never happened before. So we're very concerned that the intention of DPH, when I say we, I'll say me, because I won't speak for anybody else. I'm very concerned that the intention of DPH is to whitewash this entire thing, this entire study. There is nothing being presented to anybody that would allow for solid understanding of what happened. Nothing. No chemical list. We know, everybody knows that a subpoena could have been issued. There is nothing that we have asked for that has ever, to the best of my knowledge at the moment, come to pass that was successful or able to be presented that would solve any of the questions that we have. And this goes on and on and on. And my suggestion to my fellow CAG members at this point is that we establish another town hall to respond to this so that the public can get the truth. And I would love to have the public ask questions, because just the fact that we were not involved or notified that the NCs were going to have direct communication with DPH is a travesty. That is not a partnership that we originally thought we were entering into and that we discussed with Barbara herself. So this can't continue this way from my perspective. There has to be a change in the way things go forward, or the study is doomed to be very ineffective, and everyone will be put aside as if they didn't exist at all. Sorry about that.
No problem, Brian. And you know, I've heard from you before, so I'm good. You know, so one thing that keeps getting repeated is around the subpoena power. And as I said, that is not DPH's decision. That is not DPH's role. It's not something we do. So it's beyond us. And so no, you don't have an answer to this yet, and the county is going through whatever it's going through in terms of doing what is needed or what they can do or what they choose to do. I don't know what to call it. But it's not our decision. And I've said this to you guys before, you know, that's not a decision that DPH has the authority to do or to make. In terms of SoCal Gas being on this call, I'm not sure how that happened, but if I understand correctly, there was was information that went out to invite the public, which didn't necessarily come from us. Is that correct? I've seen some emails that said, come join this meeting. So I'm assuming that they got involved or they saw this, based on that communication. But otherwise, we're typically sending invites to you all as the CAG. And so I didn't know of. You said it. We didn't even know they were there in terms of their participation of being on this particular meeting. Brian, I know you're not saying that we can't engage with the community without telling you ahead of time, because that is not something that we have ever gone through or discussed, and oftentimes we need information, or if we want to engage, if we've got a request for information. We try to respond to those things in relationship to communities. We can't get to everybody all the time, but that is something that we will continue to do, if we're requested, provide some information, talking to the community. We are never always able to meet it, but I know you're not saying that we can't do that without talking about it. So we'll let you know what's going on at the moment, and we will continue to respond as we can to requests and try to get more information. To be honest with you, we're all in a tough situation. Constantly, it is said that DPH is trying to whitewash this thing. At this point, no priorities or goals have been set. At this point, neither I or you know exactly what research is going to be funded. Don't know the type of research that's going to be funded. And again, we don't know the priorities at the moment. The SOC is going through and trying to develop that based on their expertise and understanding what's there and what happened, and with input that has been received earlier after the blowout, in addition to continued community feedback as we've moved forward. That information has been shared. You guys have talked to the SOC as well, right? So I almost take offense to that. I understand what you're saying in terms of some information being missing, but that is not our intent at all. We're trying to get a good study that can answer some of the questions that you guys have, if not all of the questions. I know we won't be able to do all of the questions. And we're limited in terms of what we have available for researchers to use. Now, I don't know what researchers are going to come up with. So, we're criticizing a study that we have no idea. One, we haven't seen the priorities. You guys haven't seen them. I haven't seen them. You have input on the priorities. We'll provide some feedback to the SOC. Once that's developed, we'll go to RFP. Researchers apply, and I don't know what they're going to come up with for research. I can say that Craig, I know that you mentioned, or Andrew, I think many of you mentioned having a sort of a patient-based study in that regard. And that's one of the things that I agree we should have that put forth, and that should be something that the SOC looks at. If we're going to do patient-based, in this any way, what does that look like? What do you have to put into the RFP, and what things should we look at? But at this point, none of us has answers to that question. The process is still moving forward. We're trying to get whatever other information we need to get in relationship to that, but sometimes we're going to be limited on stuff. It's not because we're doing it.
I'm going to have Craig ask his question, and then we'll move to the next agenda item, and Andrew, you'll be the first to call on during the next piece.
Great. Thank you, Susan. And Mary reached out and said that she put another question in there, and she's having trouble talking. My text messages have blown up during this meeting, and they're from all sorts of people within the community. And overwhelmingly, they're just dismayed by what is going on here. And let me be abundantly clear. What is happening here and what we heard from the new direction that public health is taking is nothing short of censoring or curtailing or minimizing the influence this community has on the direction and the path of this study. We never, as a CAG member, never heard quarterly meetings before today. We were always on a monthly schedule. We have brought more action items to this effort, including the CBC study, what is happening with fugitive admissions. We were the ones that insisted on doing a cancer registry study. We were the ones, along with community members, that demanded having financial exposure to how this money is being spent. The CAG and the SOC have demanded that the radiation testing not just be what's up on the hill, but what is in our communities. Because if it's up there, it's in our communities. The amount of delay, because none of these are new. The most juvenile one of those requests is no less than 3 or 4 months old. The chemical list we've been asking for 17 months. Dr. Davis, please go back and talk to your counsel, because I've spoken to several attorneys, and public health, independent from the county, has full subpoena authority. Let me repeat that. DPH, independent of LA County, has full subpoena power that does something that no other agency can do, and that is pierce the veil of trade secrets of a public utility when the public's health is at risk. And if the largest blowout in U.S. history doesn't qualify for that, nothing else does. So, sir, please go back, talk to your counsel, have them provide the CAG a written opinion of why they do not have jurisdiction over this, when the law clearly states they do. And I believe there's some attorneys online today that can confirm this. And I hope they speak up at public comment.